Chargers fans, today the line between the predictable and the historic got thin. There's backstage movement around a trench name that could change the defense's tone, a backfield decision that shakes up the hierarchy, a medical update that flipped the script, and a quote on Brazilian soil that lit a debate. Which piece do you think swings the score in week 1? You won't believe what we've got today. So sit down, drop a like, and let's get straight to the news. Take a deep breath, because the first twist arrives sooner than you think. There's a different noise echoing from the trenches, and it's not just the thud of cleats on turf. It's the behind-the-scenes chatter about a heavy piece with Michigan DNA and exactly the kind of size the Jesse Minter defense loves to plug between the gaps to kill the run at the source. The profile that anchors the middle, welcomes double teams without losing his base, and lets linebackers flow clean to the ball. You know when the goal line turns into a tide in your favor because someone simply doesn't give up an inch. That's the vibe. The fit is so clear the question has shifted. If he's available at a bargain, does it make sense to flip the switch now or wait to measure the roster impact? The name behind the buzz is Mazy Smith. The rumor makes sense because under Minter, the Chargers operate multiple fronts, toggling between odd and even looks and asking a DT for that rare combo of anchor strength, short area lateral quickness, and violent hands to threaten the A and B gaps. In Ann Arbor, Smith started doing exactly that, learning terminology and principles that live in Jim Harbaugh's playbook today. Practical translation, a shorter adaptation curve, a defined role on base downs, and a real chance to raise the physical floor inside without reinventing anything schematically. On the Dallas side, the context feeds a change of scenery read. The line was reconfigured with heavyweight moves, an elite veteran arrived in the interior, and the immediate window for the former first-rounder would shrink, at least short-term. The league numbers so far don't jump off the screen. 54 tackles and 2 sacks in 2 seasons. But isolated stats can mislead when the mission is anchoring, squeezing wide zone angles, and turning 2nd and 6 into 3rd and long. In Los Angeles, the snap battle would be direct. Early downs, short yardage, and goal line packages, thickening the rotation and better shielding the linebackers. The math helps. A rookie contract, cap-friendly, with a 5th-year option keeps everything under control. Projections point to a modest dent in the 2025 cap and flexibility for 2026 if the staff wants to push buttons. On the tag, the speculated price sits on the flyer shelf. A day 3 pick, maybe with playtime and production escalators. The risk is obvious. The ceiling never unlocks, and he's just a big body. The reward is 2, a nose/tree tech who can collapse the pocket from the inside when shaded, redrawing blitzes, freeing perimeter defenders, and simplifying middle field coverage rules. The fan base is split, and that's great for the debate. One side buys the perfect buy low, bolsters the rotation, protects the linebackers, and matches the physical identity Harbaugh promised. The other wants to save draft capital for an interior rusher with proven production. In the middle sits the staff's cold ruler: cost, projected role, and situational impact. So far, there's nothing public about a visit or talks. It's back channel, it's competitive reading. But if the price is right, and the staff sees immediate gains in base and short yardage, the call makes sense. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. There are moments when experience weighs more than the sparkle of novelty, and that's exactly the scale Jim Harbaugh used to slam the gavel. The veteran will open ahead of the rookie. The decision won't shock those who followed camp closely, but the timing stirred the room. We're talking about a running back who once carried entire offenses, but who spent most of the summer away from practice after a curious injury on the 4th of July. Since then, the question was whether he'd be in shape to reclaim the lead role. Now, with practice reports confirming full participation in the first 2 sessions of the week, expectation took real shape. From his side, the words sounded confident, even light. "I'm getting used to it again. Getting into football shape, but I feel good," he said on Monday. The 1-year, $5+ million deal spelled it out from day one. The franchise saw immediate value in betting on a seasoned name. Then the draft brought fresh blood, a rookie who shined in Chapel Hill and made noise in training camp, firing up fans who love picturing a changing of the guard on the very first snap. The dilemma settled in. Fast-track the transition or trust the weight of the jersey. Harbaugh, with his trademark calm, let a smile slip when he said, "He says he's ready and he looks ready." That confidence echoes in the locker room but also stokes speculation outside. Because if the veteran really takes impactful snaps right out of the gate, the rookie will have to wait for specific packages. Maybe 3rd downs, maybe sequences designed to exploit his lateral pop. The shadow is inevitable. Sooner or later, if the kid delivers, the battle for the throne is back on the table. For the fan base, the feeling is mixed. Some celebrate the safety of starting with someone who knows the NFL's weight, especially in a transforming offense where balance needs to be found quickly. Others demand boldness, arguing there's no point spending a high pick on a running back to keep him on the bench. And in the middle, the fantasy football debate heats up. Starting the rookie in week 1, is that bold or reckless? The answer may not come tomorrow, but every snap will carry more meaning than usual. In the end, the most striking piece is the internal chess match. Preserve the veteran's confidence without smothering the rookie's growth. Harbaugh knows time will force its answers, but for now, the decision is made. Experience first, promise right behind. And while we argue whether that's prudence or conservatism, the field will show who truly deserves to own the ball. Not every medical update carries tension, but in this case, every line got heavier. After an almost clean Wednesday, Thursday confirmed that the tide might finally turn in our favor. A safety who'd been limited showed up as a full participant, drawing a sigh of relief from the staff. At the same time, the running back who dominated headlines all week kept practicing without restrictions, reinforcing the read that he'll be on the field on Friday night against the Chiefs. The difference now isn't if he plays, but how much he plays. Harbaugh's line echoes he says he's ready, and he looks ready. It's a war mindset, play without looking back, but it still leaves the volume of carries up in the air. The most symbolic piece is seeing such a lean report. We're used to opening the list bracing for a flood of question marks. This time, aside from the already known absence of Rashawn Slater, the feeling was a roster nearly at full disposal. That not only changes the tone of projections for the game, it also shifts internal confidence. A team that shows up healthy at the start sends a message to the locker room. We're ready, complete, and out of excuses. It's the kind of energy that can catch fire before the kickoff. Of course, Slater's definitive absence remains the heaviest shadow. Losing an elite LT changes everything, from protection schemes to a quarterback's trust that he'll have time to develop the play. But seeing the rest of the group cleared creates the sense that, despite the blow, the machine keeps turning. It's a chance to prove resilience immediately, show the team's identity won't crumble because of one loss, however big. The fan base got the memo. On forums and group chats, the comments sounded relieved. Finally, an injury report that doesn't make you want to cry. Another took a bolder line. If this roster stays healthy, the AFC better be ready. The enthusiasm is justified because the sum of positive health news connects directly to the strategy of opening strong without carrying that makeshift vibe. Now everything converges on the field. Friday night will show whether this optimism has a foundation or if it's just pre-game hope. The fact is, when a team reaches week 1 nearly whole, the competitive picture changes. It gives the staff confidence to unleash the plan without reservations. It gives the locker room belief in execution. And it gives the fan base fuel to believe that yes, this year can be different. But hold on, because what comes next is even more unbelievable. In São Paulo, with cameras from all over the world, Justin Herbert was asked about Los Angeles 2028 and flag football's Olympic debut. He didn't promise anything, but he praised the city, the event, and made it clear it would be really cool to participate. For a quarterback who carries one of LA's sports brands, that matters. It's controlled ambition, tuned messaging, and respect for the NFL calendar. When the face of the franchise speaks like this, the topic stops being empty rumor and becomes a concrete possibility the Bolt family should track closely. The symbolic impact is immediate. The Olympics turns athletes into ambassadors. If Herbert is even lightly considering wearing the flag in flag football, the Chargers' narrative expands to audiences who don't consume tackle every week. Picture teens discovering the logo through highlights, schools discussing routes and cones, short videos catching fire in the summer. In Los Angeles, where attention is a street fight, taking that stage means expanding the base, relevance, and identity. The brand enters new cultural conversations and returns stronger for the season. Then comes the competitive layer. Flag isn't tackle, but it demands precision, rapid reads, change of direction, and millimetric chemistry with receivers. It's max speed processing. For a cerebral quarterback, it becomes a lab for timing, anticipation, and manipulating safeties without the collision load. At the same time, the calendar matters. The games land in the heart of training camp. How do you harmonize installing the playbook, building protection chemistry, and the need for reps? Planning. Pre-install concepts, map the window, manage workloads, and have an immediate reintegration protocol. Enter the classic debate, risk versus reward. Is it worth diverting from camp? Depends on the design. Flag reduces contact and lowers impact injury risk while offering valuable cognitive stimuli. If the staff sees pedagogical value and keeps the physical prep calibrated, you can harvest technical gains without punishing the body. There's also the locker room factor. When the leader shows willingness to represent city and country, the internal message is powerful. Purpose, pride, and responsibility converge, and everyone's commitment bar rises. In the public square, references help calibrate expectations. Josh Allen has said he'd love to compete for his country. Patrick Mahomes was cautious, leaning toward letting younger guys take the stage. Herbert chose the strategic route. He praised LA, respected the league's prep, and left the door cracked open. For the Bolt family, that's music. No bravado, no retreat, just vision. Gaining relevance where the world will be looking in 2028 without losing sight of September. Leadership is creating possibilities without distracting from the immediate goal. Translated to the Chargers Owner's chessboard, the plan is manageable. With Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter shaping culture and system, every detail counts. If 2028 becomes reality, there are 4 off-seasons to refine flows. Spring pre-installs, compact return blocks, extra QB2 reps during the Olympic window, and situational packages to re-spark QB1 timing on day 1 back. Bonus: the Olympic spotlight helps sell the offenses and defenses fundamentals to a global audience. Spacing, route distribution, leverage, communication. There's also the micro-technical layer. Flag demands clean angles, separation through spatial intelligence, and surgical execution in the short and intermediate. Herbert can sharpen safety control with his eyes, shoulder fakes, off-platform throws, and progression rhythm that turns 5 yards into 8. Those details become first downs in tight games. And a quarterback returning from an international experience with confidence tends to energize the locker room. Competitiveness rises, habits improve, and the offense's operating margin grows. Brazil, for its part, acts as a catalyst. That press conference on Brazilian soil introduced Herbert to a new, loud audience. The Olympic talk becomes a bridge. 2025 opens with a historic game here. 2028 puts LA at the center of the planet. In between stands a quarterback who recognizes the opportunity and communicates without noise. Internationalization stops being a slogan when actions follow. None of this is a promise. These are signals, and signals matter. They show a franchise comfortable thinking big without losing discipline. Now the key turns back to the present. The focus is the Chiefs on Friday. Clean execution and a strong start to the season. The Olympic seed is planted, with Herbert signaling openness without losing sight of what really matters. The fan base noticed and reacted. Pride for LA, curiosity about flag, and anticipation for the next chapters. It's the kind of topic that keeps people hooked between games, fuels engagement, and reinforces identity. If that already sounds big, hold our final tie-in, because it puts everything in one frame, from field to brand. Chargers fans, take a deep breath, because we've reached the final point of today's ride. We had backstage rumors with the scent of strategic movement, a locker room decision that shakes the hierarchy, a medical report that brought hope, and even an international quote from Herbert planting a seed for something far bigger. 4 different chapters, all pointing to the same destination, a team that won't settle for just competing. It wants to define an era. Now the ball's with you. Which of these stories boosted your confidence in the season the most? Drop your comment, subscribe, and let's ride together to the end.